All right, today we're talking Turas. We got a special guest, Sandra. Come on in. All right, so
Hi.
all right, so uh, question one. I have
hmm
little questions written down here just so I don't forget anything. Question one. So, in your recollection, how did Turas get started? Give it to me. Yeah.
so we were planning our spring break
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
trip, or at
Mm-hmm.
least starting to plan our spring break trip
Mm-hmm.
to Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
First time that we are actually doing all of the planning for a
Mm-hmm.
trip out there. We've
Mm-hmm.
relied heavily on family previously, but we
Mm-hmm.
kind of want to do our own thing now
Mm-hmm.
that the girls are older.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with a Google Doc, and
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about the Google
that
Doc because that was the genesis of the whole thing. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So it started out
yeah,
as basically a list.
yeah,
Because that's how I function in
yeah,
my head. I
yeah,
make lots of lists.
yeah,
And then we tried to take that list
yeah,
and turn it into a spreadsheet,
yeah,
but then the spreadsheet didn't really do what we wanted to do. So we had all
yeah.
these days
Okay,
mapped out.
but what was the main problem with the spreadsheet? Like, what was
We
the?
couldn't shift things
Yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah,
So that was probably the biggest
yeah.
problem. And then it was really hard to
Figure out the dates, right?
figure out the dates.
Like
So
like we're trying to figure out which hotels to book on what day, and it's like, okay, well, we don't know which
and
one.
then and
Yeah,
then so we make all these like tables
yeah,
for each day, and then we ended up making a list up at the
yeah,
top of the tables that had
yeah,
nothing to do
yeah.
with the days.
Oh yeah.
It was a
No, no,
completely
no, no.
different
That
itinerary.
was V2, but actually that was probably like actually V3, right? At that
Yeah.
point, right?
Such a mess,
So
such a
we
mess.
had the original document, your original document. We had mine, which had like all the tables, and then we had the version with V2 with the tables, and then just a list at the top, right?
It was such a mess.
Okay, so how did tourists happen after that? Then okay, remember we were planning, it
Oh.
was terrible, and then what happened? This what
and and
when did it
then
start? Like
and
when
then
did
I
it start?
woke up one morning
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Chuck was like, "Look what I made."
Yeah, yeah, but you gotta rewind a little bit. How did we
I
even get
mean,
there?
how did we get there? Chuck was like,
Yeah,
"I can't do this."
yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
is what happened.
yeah,
Chuck
yeah.
was like, I can't.
You're talking about me like
Sorry."
in the third person, like
He was like, "I can't do this
yeah,
this way.
yeah,
My brain doesn't see it this way.
yeah,
This is too hard. I'm gonna write a program
yeah.
that's gonna make this much easier for us." And I was like, "Okay." And then one night he just didn't come to
It
bed
was
until
like three
like
days
3
later,
a.m.
right? So it was
Yeah, like 3 days in a row. He was up until like 3
it wasn't three
a.m.
days in a row because
It was
over
pretty much 3 days in
New
a row.
Year's we had to go. We went to we had
Okay,
something.
that was
Okay,
the only night. It wasn't
okay.
till 3 a.m.
So then a week later,
Yeah,
um,
about a week.
about a week, I put it on Reddit, and then that weekend we like I got I don't know maybe 150 200 users. How
Yeah.
do you feel about that? Like random people out there are using this to.
I
What do you think about
mean,
that?
I think it's very cool.
Yeah,
He was very excited. So if
yeah,
you were on Reddit and you started using this, just know that he was
yeah,
like a little kid in the candy store.
yeah.
Very excited that
So
people were looking
what
at
about
it.
the first time that what about the first time you showed other people like at work, people that were also planning trips? What was their reaction to it?
Yeah, so I did. I shared it with a couple of people that I
Mm-hmm.
know that enjoy traveling
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of traveling and planning, and they're using it now, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of like, "Oh my gosh, where's something like this been?" Like, especially when you're, traveling for an extended period of time.
Uh-huh.
It's great for short trips, but then even better for long trips if you need to like shift things around. So they were all like really excited. I have a friend planning like a 1 month trip out west,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like having a field day with it.
And what would you say is your favorite feature?
Oh,
Your
my favorite feature.
yeah.
I know your favorite feature,
Yeah.
but because he's crazy. My favorite feature, I think, would just be the fact um, that I can link to Google,
Yeah.
to the map,
Okay.
so that like if I know this is where we're staying, our hotel is, I can pull that up and then I can see what's around it,
Mm-hmm.
and then put places to
Mm-hmm.
eat and things to do that might be in the vicinity as well. It's just a little bit easier, I think,
Okay. So
to plan.
what's the actual problem that you've had with it now? Now that it's been built, what's the actual problem that we've been having now?
That he basically is non-existent because he sits in front of his computer, or programming it or in front of his phone looking at how cool it is
Yeah.
and not actually planning for this big trip that was the whole purpose.
It's got
So now you have me,
yeah.
who, I don't necessarily speak the language. I know a little. I can read a little. And somehow I'm doing all of the booking and planning.
Yeah.
I'm reaching out to his family out there.
Wow.
Google Translate. Thank goodness for that. I've got so many new friends online.
Great work.
I mean.
Okay, so final question: where do you think Turas will go? Like, how far do you think it can go? Do you think, like, it's just free right now?
Yeah,
Nobody's paying
right
for it.
now.
I'm just nights and weekends,
yeah.
like literally every night,
every night, every weekend.
Where do you think it's gonna go?
I mean, in my opinion, as someone who used to travel for work also, like I would find it to be a great tool for that as well. So going to conferences, I used to go to school districts and train there, being able to have like all of my travel itinerary in one place that even like HR could put together and just send to me instead of it being in like 15 different emails. Like that would have been amazing. So I see that being like, besides like the vacation planning, I see it being a good tool for businesses to use. Also for travel agents to use, really, when you think about it, scheduling some of those big trips for people.
We'll see how it goes. It's just been like plugging away, adding features every week. Sometimes every night.
Every night.
There was
he wakes up in the morning and he's like, "Look what I did," and I was like, "Well, I slept."
Yeah.
So good for you.
So there you go. So if you haven't tried Turas out, Turas.app, give it a try. And if you like it, pass it on.